Oh hey there! It's been a while since our latest progress update on our own game Forge industry, but I figured that, well, we still have to keep doing these devlogs, and there's actually a reason that it's been so long since our last devlog. If you weren't aware, the entire team basically took 3 weeks of vacation to go over to Japan, so we had 3 weeks of no real development work. That doesn't mean, however, in the 8 weeks that have passed since our latest devlog that we haven't done anything. Absolutely not. I think we haven't done this much work yet since any of our previous devlogs, especially like substantially how much has changed. So that's why today I still wanted to sit down and talk in this normally penultimate, so one more devlog after this, devlog for our own game Forge Industry, which is a resource management and automation game. So without further ado, let's go and take a look at all the changes we've made. Two more things I want to mention before we actually get into the actual changes. We have released a trailer. So in case you haven't been following us that much, there will be a trailer. I'll make a card go up there where you can go and see the actual trailer of our game. We also made a video talking about how we made the trailer, but basically we have set on our release date. It will be the 30th of June. So if you haven't wishlisted our game yet, I'm gonna keep saying this, go to the link down below where you can wishlist our game for when it releases. We have the trailer, as I said, and then it will also be playable during the Steam Next Fest. I think we mentioned this in our previous devlog as well, but in case you don't know, Steam Next Fest is a week in June, right before our game releases really, where you can play free demos of upcoming games, and you can also play a demo of Forge Industry there. So if you've been following along the development, but you're not really sure if this kind of game is really for you, well, there's no problem. You can just go and get a free demo of the game before we actually release the game. So getting into what have we actually added, what has changed in the game? Well, the first big topic that I want to talk about that we finally have sorted out is material research. So this is something that we've been saying for the past 4 devlogs that we wanted to work on, but we finally implemented it. So one problem we had was that in our previous versions of the game, no matter whether you were a beginning blacksmith or a very advanced one, you could handle any kind of materials and alloys really without any problem. So you could, for example, immediately smelt titanium or make your own complex alloys, whereas we didn't really want that. We don't want you to immediately be able to make anything you want. We want you to have to unlock and research really all various kinds of materials. And this research mindset is really our core concept, because it's not just click to unlock basically and you pay 500 gold or whatever, similar to our architect's atelier for unlocking buildings. No, you actually have to throw in a bunch of materials for whatever you want to research, whether that's an alloy or it's just simply learning to smelt a metal. And then depending on how much you put in, we have some mod behind it that calculates a probability that you will have to actually unlock or learn how to make that material. And then once you've unlocked it, you can start processing that material, but until then you can't really do anything with those materials. So that way we want to lower the overwhelmingness of our game, because in the beginning, if you started and you immediately have 17 different metals to choose from, you don't know what's the best. So instead we want to gradually give it to the player and teach them about every metal along the way. Then the second thing that we really started working on is our marriage system. So we had the idea of an end game is basically we already had the harbor where you could interact and buy and sell with different factions, but we wanted to add also a marriage system into it. Basically, as your kind of end goal, you can go and craft a beautiful intricate ring or other piece of jewelry, and you can send it off to another faction and engage in peace talks, for example, and try to marry one of their princes or princesses, depending on what faction it is. We see this as our end goal, as I said before, to give you something to work towards. So all of your work you do, making money, learning to research new materials and such, allows you to make these really intricate and fine rings or other jewelry to signify that you've really mastered being a blacksmith. This marriage system will then also tie in with our political system, where depending on if you send like a horrible quality ring, you will actually damage your diplomatic relationships with that country, or you could actually strengthen them by going into an alliance and marrying one of their princesses. And then the last big thing that has happened since then, which I'm really excited for, is we have started our close supporter playtest. So basically all the way back in October on Gameforce, we sold some pre-order keys to anyone who played our demo there and who wanted to support us. And we made them the promise back then that, okay, we will give you early access to our builds, and then you can also playtest our game, see what you think about it, and also maybe we could get some first bug reports. This playtest has been going on for about 2 weeks now, and it has allowed us to change a lot of things, whether that was UI and UX related, that something wasn't maybe fully clear about our game, or there were simply some plain old bugs. The team has really been working on getting all of those things implemented and fixed as fast as possible so that we can have a good launch experience when we release the 30th of June and also just when we have our demo during Steam Next Fest. Now, of course, my favorite part of these devlogs is also normally the lightning round. I'm gonna have a small lightning round now, except we have the problem that since so much time has passed since the previous devlog, and most of our changes now with the playtesting has been a lot of small bug fixes, there's not that many things that we would classify anymore that fit in the lightning round. But I'm gonna do my best. So the first thing we did is we added an extra building, which is the kiln. The point of the kiln is to have a different way to get a heat source. So right now the only heat source in the game used to be coal, which you only could buy or mine through the mine, which is a quite late game building. So now we added the kiln, which allows you to turn wood into charcoal. So you have a different way to power all of your forges, for example. We've also started working on implementing some of our other buildings, so mainly the armory and Fletcher. We already had all of the models done and we knew what they were gonna do, but we never ended up fully implementing the UIs yet and creating all the items for it. Now, as we're getting closer to the end, and I'll also touch back upon this in a bit, we're starting to implement all of the items in our game, which allows us to also implement those buildings. One exception that isn't implemented yet is our jewelry station, because this one would be linked to our marriage and we actually want to do something special with that. I'll get back to that in a second. And then basically we also did a whole lot of extra things sound-wise and UX-wise. So for example, we now have a lot of extra sound effects when you delete buildings, when you create new things, when you craft certain things, or when you, for example, send out the ship out of the harbor. You have now a nice sound effect to really make your world feel more alive. In our previous devlog, we already talked about making our world feel more alive with the ambient sound and with the music soundtracks. But now we have that extra dimension of sound effects as well. And then we also did a lot of things UX-wise. So for example, you now have to confirm that you really want to delete buildings, because before we were just having a lot of mouse slips where you right-clicked and suddenly your entire building was gone and all of your routes were messed up and things like that. We fixed that as well. And yeah, as I said, there's this enormous list of small bugs that I'm not going to go through anymore. Normally in the previous lightning rounds, we sometimes covered them, but not now. If you really want to see some of the bugs we fixed, I urge you to go into our Discord server, which will also, you can find linked down below, where we actually have a bug report channel where we also progress update all of the bugs that we fixed as well that are uncovered through our playtesting. And then one last thing we did was add the models for the gondola station. So if you don't remember anymore, the harbor building is what connects you to the rest of the world basically. So for example, with the merit system. However, if you're playing on, for example, our desert map or on our snowy peaks map, it doesn't make sense to have a harbor there. So we have dedicated harbor buildings there, which we've renamed and reskinned. On the desert map, that would be the bazaar. That one we already had finished quite a while. But now we also have the gondola station, just so that every biome is fully playable now. And that brings me to looking towards the future. If I look at the date now, we still have about 5 weeks until we have to release our game, until the 30th of June. And we have quite a bit of stuff left to do, but I do have confidence that we're going to be able to make it. What are those things? Mainly, it's going to be what we call our advanced request system. So the harbor allows you to trade, it allows you to marry, and we also want to have advanced requests. This would be things like, for example, a different faction is starting a war and they want to commission 10,000 swords or however many from you, the player. This is not something that would be done through the simple world events that could influence local prices, but this is actually something where you can learn new crafting recipes and make a lot of money from by completing these orders. And then, as I said, the jewelry station, we also need to rethink how we're going to make our crafting system for those very intricate small rings and things like that. And then speaking of crafting, the big thing really that we need to do the next month and a bit is just our battle of scale, as we call it internally, which is just making more of everything, making more items, making more achievements, making more world events and implementing all of it. We've already started working on it, but because we want to have such an expansive game, we do still need to make a lot of the items, and it's just a bit of, it's not the most efficient work, but rewriting our entire code 1 month before release is also not going to happen, so we just have to power through. And then of course, we're expecting plenty of extra bugs to appear and to be fixed as well in the upcoming weeks, so we'll also keep ourselves busy with those things. And that about wraps up this devlog. I hope you're still as excited about the game as we are. It's a bit sad on one hand to see this coming to an end soon, but on the other hand, that means that in a few months you'll probably see some new devlogs of our new upcoming game, and we'll keep you posted that way. As I said, this isn't the last devlog. We're gonna make one more, probably the week of our release, where we go over everything we had to do from now until the actual release, and maybe something about Steam Next Fest as well. And apart from that, if you are new here somehow, we are a game development studio, Bind Me Games, and we make videos like these devlogs, but also just general content aimed towards beginning and intermediate game developers. We make 2 videos a week, so if that's something that you're interested in, be sure to go ahead and subscribe and also leave us a like, as it really helps us out as well. And that's all I really have to say for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!